Hi everyone, I'm Gary Francione. Animal advocates often ask me why I link human rights and animal rights, something I've been doing since I started this work in the 1980s. And the answer is because you can't unlink them. They're inextricably intertwined. Think about it for a second. We object to the exploitation of non-human animals because it involves arbitrarily drawing a line between humans and non-humans and placing non-humans on the other side of the line. We otherize them. And we object to that because we say, well, the criterion of species is an irrelevant reason to place animals in the class of the other and thereby provide some sort of justification for exploiting them. It just doesn't work. The same thing happens when we're talking about human discrimination. It's all the same, whether it's racism, sexism, heterosexism, it just doesn't matter. What we do is we draw an arbitrary line and we place some group of humans on the side of the line. We designate them as the other based on some irrelevant criterion, whether it's race or sex or sexual orientation or gender. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what, or class. It doesn't really matter what the characteristic is. It's completely arbitrary. And so we otherize them and then attempt to justify exploiting them or discriminating against them or devaluing their interests. If we oppose speciesism, we oppose speciesism because it is exactly like racism, sexism, heterosexism, or any other form of discrimination. We reject it because it's logically and morally defective. Well, if we reject speciesism because it's like these other things, we are committed to objecting to these other things, which function in exactly the same way as speciesism does. So, if you're an animal advocate and you reject speciesism, you are necessarily committed to rejecting all forms of human discrimination, because all of these forms of discrimination, whether they involve non-human animals or human animals, they all function the same. They're all arbitrary, they're all unjust, they're all unfair, they're all immoral. So we are committed to opposing them all. So when I talk about animal rights and I talk about human rights as being inextricably intertwined, what I mean is you can't separate them. If we're animal advocates, we are necessarily committed to human rights. That doesn't mean that we have to stop advocating for animals and spend our time advocating for humans. It means we ought never, in our advocacy for animals, take a position which promotes racism or promotes sexism. We should never fall into the trap that many animal advocates do of saying it's all right for us to promote sexism or racism or other forms of discrimination in order to help animals. That doesn't work. We need to reject that. Also, those people who are doing human rights work, we're not saying to them, stop doing the human rights work and do animal rights work. We want them to do human rights work because that work is very important. Advocacy for children, advocacy for minority groups who are discriminated against, those are all really wonderful things. Those forms of advocacy are really wonderful. But what we're asking them to do is they got to eat when they're doing their human advocacy, their advocacy for human rights. They've got to eat 3 times a day. They've got to go out and buy clothes. When they eat, they should eat vegan. When they buy clothes, they should not buy animal products. And they should not participate directly in animal exploitation in their lives as they're doing their excellent human rights work. So it's all intertwined, okay? All forms of discrimination are basically the same. It's just they differ in terms of the irrelevant criterion that is used in the particular instance to justify discrimination. None of it works. We should reject it all. Thank you.